Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another daily devotion. I'm Pastor Roy here at Woodlawn Christian Church in Lake City, Iowa, and this devotion is for Tuesday, September 20th of 2022. And it's good to be back with you. I've just come back from a week of vacation. I missed doing these every day, but at the same time, it was a relief not to do them every day. It is a bit of a strain to prepare one of these for each weekday. I will confess that. That's my confession for the day. But today we are going to wrap up Matthew's Gospel. We're in chapter 28, verses 11 to 20. This is the end of it. And of course, the very end of it is Jesus saying, I am with you always to the end of the age, which is a very wonderful thing to hear at the end of this Gospel, which is at first in line in the New Testament, as we know, Matthew's Gospel. We started this study way back in February 7th of 2022. So 7 months and a couple of weeks, though 1 week I was on vacation, so that probably doesn't count, I guess. So it took us a little over 7 months to get through Matthew. So a bit of a journey, as they say. In recap, of course, Matthew is the most Jewish of the Gospels. He is the one that seems to be the most focused on fulfillment of prophecy from the Old Testament. Excuse me, please. And he, again, is the first in the New Testament, though he's not the oldest. We don't typically believe that Mark is the oldest of the canonical Gospels. But here we have a story, as we had just finished up a story a few days back. Let's see, that would have been on Friday of the 9th of September, when we talked about the guards at the tomb. And we're going to talk about the guards again today. Matthew's the only one that has the guards at the tomb. He is unique in that. Of the canonical Gospels, as I think I mentioned before, the Gospel of Peter has the guards at the tomb. But there the guards aren't asleep. Here they're going to be sleeping. So without further ado, let's jump into this and we'll talk a little bit more about it. I don't think this will be a particularly long devotion today. Chapter 28, verses 11 to 20. While they were going, some of the guard went into the city and told the chief priest everything that had happened. After the priests had assembled with the elders, they devised a plan to give a large sum of money to the soldiers, telling them, You must say his disciples came by night and stole him away while we were asleep. If this comes to the governor's ears, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble. So they took the money and did as they were directed, and this story is still told among the Judeans to this day. Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain to which Jesus had directed them. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but they doubted. And Jesus came and said to them, All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And remember, I am with you always to the end of the age. Okay, let's talk about the last part first, and then we'll come back to the first part, and then we'll close with the very last verse, I think is what I'll try to do here. Here we are this is the Great Commission. This is unique to Matthew. The Great Commission in Luke and Acts is taking place in Acts with the Ascension there. But here we have the Great Commission. Jesus is sending them forth to baptize. This, of course, is one of the reasons why we as Baptists and disciples like baptism by immersion. It is a conversion, meaning your life has changed. You are new. You're risen as a new creation. We'd like to think we can live up to that always. So sadly, we fall short. All of us fall short. And so the other thing I wanted to mention before I forget, here we have the mention of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. It is interesting. Here in Matthew's Gospel, we have the Trinity. We generally think of the Trinity coming into John's Gospel, and John is the great Trinitarian, or perhaps some of it from Paul, but really John is where we get the idea of the Trinity. But here at the very end verses, the last two verses of Matthew's Gospel, we got them. Bing, bing, bing. I mean, it's right there. Plain and simple, clear and evident. So that's interesting. Though some would say that has been revised and that it was added later because of the fact that it has this concept of the Trinity, which is later, thought to be later. But here, of course, we have to remember this is 80-ish AD. It's not right at the 33 as well. But let's take a look at the guards here. The interesting thing about this is the guards going to the city and say, guess what? Because the women have come and left. And remember, in Matthew, there's no Peter or John or anybody else running to the tomb. It's just the women. They go back and say, hey, we got a problem. He's gone. And we don't know where he went because we were guarding him. And when they rolled the tomb, the stone away, when the angel came and rolled the stone away, there was nobody in there. And of course, what's with seeing this angel? Of course, why would you then, as the guards, even though they're going to pay you, why would you deny this kind of an occurrence where you see an angel of the Lord come down? That seems kind of weird. But the lie that the priests come up with to tell the guards to tell is illogical. And the point I want to make about this is that we run into people all the time, and perhaps we're guilty as well, that make lies that they are going to tell you very adamantly are true, and they make no sense, and it's obvious that they're not, that they're a concoction, that they're a distortion and a perversion, if you will, of the truth. And that's what they say, that, well, his people came and stole him away while we were asleep. Well, how did you know that? Because you just said you were asleep. How do you see someone sneaking away when you're asleep? Either they say they came and got him, and we woke up and saw them taking them. Now that's a complete lie, or a logical lie, not a complete lie, but it's all a lie. But it is a believable lie. But to say that they took him while we were asleep, you don't know who took him while you were asleep. You don't know how he got out of there. You do know that the angel came down and moved the stone, and you saw that, and he wasn't there. But I don't think they fell asleep at all. They're telling them to tell you to fall asleep. I think they were there. They're Roman guards. They know how to pull guard duty. They're not going to be falling asleep. They don't. That would have been the death of them. That's why the priests are having to say, "We'll cover for you," because you fall asleep on guard duty, you're in trouble deep. You failed at your duty. So the reality is, it's questionable whether the priest would even have the power to intervene on their behalf and stop their commander from killing them if they went and said, hey, they got away because we were sleeping on duty. Anyway, but it's not a believable lie. It's a story with multiple holes in it. So the story, I guess, back to where I was going, we encounter these kinds of things all the time. And this is done, this is here, it's repeated here to squelch the issue of the people that in early church days were saying that, oh, well, they just took the body away. Well, and so this is used to combat that. But the problem is that the story, they're combating the story of the guard saying that the body was stolen while they were asleep by putting it in here, and it's revealing that the lie is a pretty pathetic lie. The angel came down and he was gone. That's the reality of it. Now, a story, as I told before, about the story in the Gospel of Peter, there we had the guards seeing Jesus walk out of the tomb, remember, between the two angels. It's a wonderful story. It's a non-canonical book because it was deemed a Gnostic book. But I love the illustration of that. I love the message of that, of Jesus being supported between the two angels and the cross coming out and saying, we've taken your word to all the world. And that brings us back to the Great Commission. We are to take his message to all the world. We are called by the Father. Here Jesus is giving that commission, but we are called by the voice that comes down from on high to take his message to all the world, not to renege on that, not to wax and wane on that, but to do it boldly and with strength. And we get wrapped up in, and that's one of the problems that we have as a church, all churches. We get wrapped up in interpersonal arguments and egos and all of that, pride and all of these things that get in the way of the ministry and get in the way of the mission. And perhaps one of the greatest things we're going to have to answer for when we stand before the judgment table, this judgment seat, is, why were you causing problems for my church? Why were you causing problems for those that were trying to do my work? Why were you causing those issues? You're stirring up trouble, and you're doing the work of Satan. There isn't a doubt about that. When you just cause distractions and disturbances in the church body, you are doing the work of evil, and you have just thrown your lot in with that. Whether you want to believe that or not, I'm sorry to break it to you, but that is what is going on. Unfortunately, if we all give in to that urge, it's a human urge. None of us are completely immune to that, but we should be. We should be realizing that we need to be 16 to 20 here. We need to be taking His word out to all the people. We need to not worry about these ego battles that we encounter. Human ego is the biggest failing of all. Let's not fall and fail in that way. Let's put God first, do God's work. That's what the final message is here in Matthew. And even when we do have people who come up against us, we do need to remember that last half a verse. No matter what we're doing, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. That's the whole verse. And remember, when you're teaching them and people are coming against you, I am with you always to the end of the age. God's always with us, no matter what. And that's something that I need to remember. You need to remember. We all need to remember. We're going to go through hell sometimes doing the work of heaven. Okay? God bless you all. Come on back tomorrow and see what we're talking about. I haven't announced yet where we're going. I'm kind of waxing and waning between a couple of things, and that decision is going to be made probably tonight as I'm sitting in my rocking chair reading and studying. All right, God bless you all, and please, please, please be a blessing to someone today. See you tomorrow. Take care.